I am sitting in my apartment in Seattle, looking out the window at the October morning fog rolling over the city. My phone buzzes on the coffee table. Another message from an unknown number. Nathaniel, please. I know you are reading this. We need to talk. This is the 15th time in 2 months. I exhale slowly, delete the message without responding, just like I always do. It has been 4 years since I disappeared from my old life. 4 years since I discovered the truth about the woman I once loved. Before I tell you how I got here, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop a comment below and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you will want to hear what happened next, because what I discovered that day changed everything I thought I knew about trust. I met Jessica during a business trip to Portland 6 years ago. She was a graphic designer working for a small creative agency downtown. I was there for a tech conference, staying at a hotel near the waterfront. We literally bumped into each other at a coffee shop on a rainy Thursday morning. She spilled her latte, I offered to buy her another, and we ended up talking for 3 hours. There was something about her laugh, the way she talked about her work with such passion, that pulled me in completely. We dated long distance for about a year. I was living in Denver at the time, working as a software engineer for a fintech company. Every other weekend, one of us would fly to see the other. We would explore new restaurants, go hiking in the mountains, stay up late talking about everything and nothing. After 12 months, I asked her to marry me during a camping trip in the Rockies. She said yes without hesitation. Our wedding was small and intimate, just close family and friends at a vineyard outside Portland. We decided to settle in Denver since my job paid better and had more growth potential. Jessica found work with another design agency, and we rented a modest house in the suburbs. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. The first 3 years of our marriage were genuinely happy. We had our routines. I would wake up early, go for a run, then head to the office. Jessica preferred to sleep in a bit, then work from home a couple days a week. Evenings, we would cook dinner together. She made this incredible pasta carbonara that I still think about sometimes. Weekends were for hiking, watching movies, planning our future. We talked about buying a bigger house, maybe starting a family in a few years. We had a decent amount saved up, and everything felt solid. Around the 3rd month of our 4th year together, I started noticing changes. Small things at first. Jessica began coming home later than usual. When I would ask about her day, she would say she was swamped with a major client project, lots of deadlines. I understood. I had been through crunch times at work too, but then she started putting a passcode on her phone, something she had never done before. When I asked why, she shrugged and said her company required it for security reasons. Made sense, I guess. One night I called her office around 9 because she had not come home yet and was not answering her cell. The phone rang and rang. No one picked up. When she got home around 11, I asked about it. She said she had been at a coffee shop working with her team, and it was too loud to hear her phone. I wanted to believe her. I did believe her, but something in my gut felt off. The distance between us grew slowly, like a crack forming in ice. We talked less. She spent more time on her phone, texting someone, smiling at the screen. When I would walk into the room, she would quickly lock it. Our conversations became shorter, more superficial. How was work? Fine. What do you want for dinner? Does not matter. Are you okay? Just tired. I tried to shake the feeling. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe this was just a rough patch every marriage goes through. I threw myself into work, tried to give her space, hoping things would get better on their own. Then came the Saturday that changed everything. Jessica told me she had to go into the office to finish a presentation. I thought it would be nice to surprise her with lunch, so I grabbed sandwiches from her favorite deli and drove to her office building downtown. I parked, walked in with a bag of food, excited to see her face light up. The office was completely empty. Not a single person. Just rows of dark desks and silent computers. I stood there, confused, then walked back to the security desk. The guard, an older guy named Frank, who I had chatted with before, looked up from his newspaper. "Looking for someone?" he asked. "My wife, Jessica. She said she was working today." Frank shook his head. "Nobody is in today. Building has been empty since yesterday evening." My stomach dropped. "You sure? Positive? I have been here since 6 this morning. Not a soul." I thanked him, walked back to my car in a daze, and sat there for 20 minutes. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe she went to a different location, maybe she said coffee shop and I misheard, but deep down I knew. This was the moment I could not pretend anymore. My wife had lied directly to my face. I drove home, left the sandwiches on the kitchen counter, and did not say a word when she came back that evening around 7. She was cheerful, talking about how productive the day had been. I asked, casually, "Where did you work today?" "At the office," she said without hesitation, pouring herself a glass of wine. "How did it go?" "Great. Got so much done." That night I lay awake next to her, listening to her breathe, and realized I was sharing a bed with a stranger. I did not want to become one of those husbands consumed by suspicion, checking phones and hiring private investigators. But I could not ignore what was happening. The lies were piling up. I needed to know the truth, even if it destroyed me. I started by checking our shared credit card statements, something I had not looked at carefully in months. We had always trusted each other with finances. What I found made my chest tighten. Multiple charges at hotels I did not recognize. Expensive restaurants we had never been to together. A spa package for $200–300. Flowers from a florist, but I had not received any flowers. Maybe she was treating herself. Maybe going out with girlfriends I wanted so badly for there to be an innocent explanation. But every piece of evidence pointed in one direction. I decided I had to see for myself. The following Thursday, Jessica mentioned she had a client meeting and would be home late. I told her I had a deadline too, but instead I left work at 5:30 and drove to her office building. I parked across the street where I had a clear view of the entrance. At 6:15, Jessica walked out. She was not alone. Next to her was a man, tall, probably in his mid-30s, wearing a dark suit. They were talking, laughing, easy and comfortable. They walked to the parking garage together. Jessica did not get into her car. She got into his. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I waited a few seconds, then followed them. They drove downtown to an Italian restaurant I had never heard of. Upscale, dimly lit, the kind of place you take someone special. I parked down the street, walked closer, and stood outside near the window. Through the glass I could see them at a corner table. Wine glasses, candlelight. Jessica was smiling in a way I had not seen in months. Genuinely happy, radiant. The man reached across the table and placed his hand over hers. She did not pull away. She laced her fingers through his. I felt like someone had punched a hole through my chest. Everything around me seemed to blur. I could not breathe properly. This was real. This was happening. I wanted to storm in there, flip the table, demand answers. But I did not. I just stood there frozen, watching my marriage disintegrate through a restaurant window. After about an hour, they finished their meal. They walked out together, his hand on the small of her back. They got into his car and drove to a boutique hotel near the river. They walked in, holding hands. I did not follow them inside. I did not need to. I knew exactly what was happening. I sat in my car outside that hotel for maybe 10 minutes, staring at nothing. Then I drove home. The house was dark and empty. I sat on the couch in the living room with all the lights off. My mind was completely blank. Not angry, not sad, just numb. Hours passed. I did not move. Jessica came home around 11. She walked in, turned on the light, and jumped a little when she saw me sitting there. "Oh, you are still up. I thought you would be asleep," she said, setting down her purse. I looked at her. This woman I had vowed to spend my life with. This person I thought I knew better than anyone. "How was the meeting?" I asked, my voice completely flat. "Good. Really good, actually. The client loved our pitch." "That is great." "Yeah." She smiled, kicking off her shoes. "I am exhausted, though. Coming to bed. In a bit." She kissed the top of my head and went upstairs. I heard the shower turn on. I sat there in the dark for another hour. When I finally went upstairs, she was already asleep. I lay down next to her, staring at the ceiling. This was the last night I would ever spend in this house. The next morning, after Jessica left for work, I called in sick. Then I got to work on the most important project of my life, disappearing. I contacted a divorce attorney first thing, explained the situation, said I wanted it done as quickly and cleanly as possible.